Good morning, everyone. It's me and my wormies. I decided I needed to do this video. I looked for a very specific bin this morning. This is like, looks like I might have done this on 11/27. May have been on 11/22. But anyway, that's not too long ago. And it needed to be checked. And so what I wanted to show you all is, okay, I'm gonna try to bring this camera down here. Oh, it's so hard. I don't have good equipment for this. But I want you to see. Let's see if you can see right here. This is the wool that I've been experimenting with and seeing how I can decompose this in these worm bins. I ended up with a mother load of wool, like 25,000 pounds. And I wanted it because it is a high nitrogen source. So you can see how at the edges, it's a real white color. And then where there's nothing on it, like in here, it's you can see the wool a lot better. Now, if I pull that apart, it's kind of still a little bit tough, but this white part, it'll just come apart by doing this with my finger. The pieces are just falling right apart. So, you know, that's only not even a month's time, and that wool is almost nearly completely broken down and gone. So that's just, you can see my fingers, how that's just, you know, it's just pulling right apart. It's almost like there's nothing left of it. The worms absolutely love it. They lay just huge piles of cocoons in this wool. And this one doesn't have a ton. I mean, there's a cocoon there and there. But, you know, yesterday when I was going through some, I found, I mean, it was so loaded with cocoons. There's more right over here. I mean, this one here is just like loaded, like cocoons everywhere. So, this I am very pleased with and happy. And I want to announce that, you know, the wool industry was somewhat suffering terribly, not having a really good outlet maybe for wool. And now that I'm seeing how wonderful it does in these worm bins, and I mean, I'll try to find some more. I don't want to take up a lot of time on a video searching, but I mean, I know instantly right here, there's just a ton of that whiteness. And so it's a mold of some sort. I'm not an expert. Oh my, here's a big chunk. This used to be a big chunk of wool. So you wouldn't even hardly recognize it, but it's a white mass. So I need to get it looked at under the microscope, but I'm 99% sure it is not like an oomycete or actinobacteria there, even though it's white like that. But I mean, that wool is just fantastic. And just the worms have loaded it full of cocoons. So I don't know if it actually, you know, that fungus there, mold, I don't know enough about worms. So help me out if you do know a lot about worms. I don't know if it's that fungal growth there. It's just like a neon white against that black surface where there is this wool. And like down in here, just neon white. I'll show you this. Okay, so this is just a neon white there on that black, and that's a chunk of wool. It's darn near all the way broke down now, and turned into who knows what all. Because I know wool is a protein. It's a protein fiber. So something there's breaking down that protein really quickly. Can this be used as a amendment for worm bittings to help increase your cocoon production? I guess. If anything, when we picked up this one is, I'm gonna say it's a piece that I originally added the first time just to see what would happen to wool if I decomposed it. And so it's been in here longer. So it is like extremely decomposed. It's gonna come apart super easy. Now this one, it's holding up better. So it may have been a piece that I added the second round after I felt like wool was decomposing fairly fast enough that it's not going to get clogged up in any type of the processes I might end up doing to separate cocoons. And so what maybe is possible is, you know, locally you could source these. So sheep breeders, you know, of even some of the meat sheep, they shave their sheep every year, and the product has basically become worthless because they don't have a new commercial outlet for it. And anybody, I guess, here who's trying to raise cocoons and want to try to boost those numbers, maybe they could play around with adding this wool to their bins. I like the shorter staple length on, say, maybe a Suffolk breed. And because they don't grow as long. They're not a wool sheep. They're a meat sheep. And so they have a shorter, this is just a chunk of wool. There's some black wool. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'll show you what they do. I hope you can see this. I mean, darn it. I don't think you're going to be able to focus on that. But I mean, that cocoon is so loaded. Not cocoon. That chunk of wool is so loaded with cocoons. Just wish I could get it visible on it. You would just have to pick out a little hunk of wool because somehow he's packed it completely. Okay, maybe I can pull it apart and then you can see a little better how packed it is. Dang it, it's just, I can't, I'm not good. Let me lay this out and then maybe you can see how packed that is with cocoons. And then, like, all you have to do if you're selling cocoons is just maybe raise them in like a full bed. And these, I'm thinking, are the Indian blue cocoons maybe because they're a little bit, I think, smaller. But there's got to be 500 cocoons in that little thing. And you would just have to pull out a little chunk of wool. No counting. You can give them way more than what, you know, that you might count out. Oh, you know, you're looking for cocoons, count them out. No need to count. Just give them extra. When they lay this many cocoons, this is a big chunk of wool. There's nothing left of it. This is not even a month. It's broke down that fast. I'm really going to be interested to find out is what is this substance here mold wise. I'll look at it. I think most of the people I've checked so far with, they can't really identify it. But I'm fairly certain, of course I can't be, that this isn't, you know, like an actinobacteria, and it may very well possibly be. Under the microscope, when I see, I don't know, does actinobacteria digest protein? Or do they just digest the cellulose fiber? And have I got something different in here? That is my video. Wool in the worm bin. It just blew my mind. I was so thinking that wool would not compost very easily. And then I would be stuck with this mess of a rat's nest going through when I was trying to do the extracts or trying to apply these, because I may try to apply them as is, like, you know, in cocoon, or not cocoon, casting form. Once I start reaching extremely large numbers, worm populations, that I just, you see that big old hunk of wool, and once I start reaching large worm populations, then I will just put this stuff straight on. Say maybe with a manure spread or some sort. Once I just start getting so many castings, which it's kind of an addiction. I do love creating these. I mean, not the worms even. I love creating the castings. And then once I get, better at what I do and I can monitor them more. Right now I'm putting so much energy into just learning how to raise the worm itself under healthy, proper conditions. I don't have a whole lot of time yet to get into the whole whether I'm fungal dominant or bacterial dominant on these castings. I mean, obviously they're going to say worm castings are great either way, but I want to get more specific so I can actually select for different crops and also not select for weeds and adding those nitrates into the field. I want to eliminate nitrates and maybe increase the fungal for one crop and go back to bacterial for another crop, which are the ones that are earlier in the stages of succession, and I just want to know if it can be done, and if it can be done, I want to do it. I don't know, I'm obsessed with it now. And I'm finding a lot of these farmers that are already farming, it's just maybe a little too much for them to take on all this new science. And look at how beautiful that is. That wool is just breaking down. So amazing. So amazing. So much fungus there for them worms to feed on. And the smell is like forest floor. I've just never seen so many cocoons in a pile like that it's in that wool like you wouldn't believe. So I'm sure that wool is creating more moisture, and that's making them realize how wonderful it is. But if that wool constantly creates a fungus that the worms are feeding on, then that's also going to be an attractant to them, because they're going to want to lay their cocoons somewhere where there's going to be a good food source for those babies, the cocoon. So I'm going to keep doing research. I would appreciate it if anybody knows any deeper information on, how this stuff's getting broken down, and make sure that I'm not losing any of my nitrogen source here to any anaerobic conditions that's going to be turning this into nitrate. If you've got really good sources, or whatever you want to call it, on testing for those nitrates to see what my nitrate levels are, then please comment that in the comments, and maybe you guys can get me started in a direction a little further down, help me get further down my path so that I can put all this together. I mean, every little piece is just so much that is, it takes so much time that we need to cut that time any which way we can. If people can offer information to help others, and we can convert all of this back over. I really am here to say wool in the worm bins is, I guess, a game changer for me. I think this is fantastic. It'll really help out your local shepherdess, I guess you could call them, regenerative farmers who are using the sheep, like I am. I do have sheep. We're using the sheep to help bring microbes back to the soils, and so we have a product there that if we can sell to you guys, breeding these worms and selling them, you know, then can it increase the value on that product? You know, can we form a symbiotic relationship with the corporations or companies, not just to, you know, start wearing these products again, wool and flax and whatever will break down, then I think that's a win-win in all directions. Oh, I'm just trying to have a good day today. Okay, that's it. This video. Happy, happy, happy.